Okay, so let's just start from the top as if we were beginning from scratch to draw up the parts for our mini light. First thing we want to do is to save our file. So if we come up to the top and click on File and click on Save, and then we're going to call it your name. So in my case, Mr. Wilson, and Year 7 and mini light. Okay, so we've said before that obviously if you just go around saving everything as my stuff, my design, and everyone else in your class is doing the same, then we can't tell whose is whose. And if you didn't already create yourself a project for it, you can click on a new project here and just call that Year 7 mini light. Okay, and press enter. And now what's going to happen is we're going to select that, and when you save your file, you can see here you've got a file name and you've got a location. That's where it's going to go. Okay, so then we can click on save and we can start working. First thing we need to do, of course, is say that we want to create a sketch. So I'm going to click on create sketch. And I'm going to draw in top view. Okay, so I'm going to click on this bottom panel of the three. These are our work planes. They're like our work surfaces or paper that we're drawing on. So we're going to click on that one. And then I'm going to come up into my pencil box. I'm going to find my rectangle tool and select that. There is a shortcut to just press R, but I'm going to do select it and drag out. And then I'm going to type in 60, press tab on my keyboard, press 60, press enter on my keyboard. And that box then is our sort of guideline. So what I'm now doing is I'm selecting those lines and I'm just clicking the little construction button, or I can press X on my keyboard. And there you are, that's me sorted out and set up, ready to draw. We said that if you don't want to see these lines, okay, you can untick those and just see the outline box. That sometimes just helps to clear things up so you can see exactly what you're doing. Inside that then, we know we've got to fit a circle of 20 diameter. So I'm going to go up to my tool, my pencil box, grab circle tool, drag it out to 20, and click that in place. Then I'm going to go up to my pencil box again, grab the rectangle tool, and we said that our rectangle wants to be 35 long, so I'm going to type that in, and 6 wide. Okay, and that's represents our battery, and that represents our LED. So then we can go ahead and start clicking out our design for our mini light. I'm just going to do something fairly quick and simple. Obviously you've got your own designs that you're trying to create. I'm going to put a circle in the middle like so, and then I'm going to grab a rectangle and I'm going to go from there and do something like that. Okay, that's going to be the shape of my mini light, except I don't want to have these really sharp corners because that wouldn't feel very nice in the hand. So I'm going to just round those over so they look more like that. And then they're not going to be sticking into anybody. Again, you can see these sort of things coming up here. You can should be able to turn some of those off if we turn off things like these points and these geometries. Well, some of them are still there. What about our constraints? There you go. Sometimes you need to click them on and then click them off again for them to fully go. So there's my main outline shape. Now I've got some detail to put onto that, but first of all I need to move my LED into place. So I'm going to press my M for move and copy. To create the copy we have to click the little tick box down here, and then I can move it across, remembering that it must just either touch the line or even go slightly outside the line. Okay, if it is inside the shape like this, that is not going to work because the light is not coming to the edge of the shape. So make sure the light will come out of the edge like so. When you're happy with the position, you can click OK on that. And then obviously we need to do the same for the button cell. So I've got to click and, oops, sorry, just undo that with my undo button. I need to select and press M and say that I want to copy. And then I'm going to drag that across and put that where I want it to be. Now, if I wanted the button to be in the very center of things, I'd want to place this in the center. But I'm actually going to put my button slightly further back because I think that would work well. And then I've got a very definite front of the LED, where the front of the mini light, where the LED comes out, and a rear part where your thumb is going to push in this sort of spot here. Okay. All right, so that's got my outside shape for the mini light, and it's got the cutout for the LED, and it's got the hole for the battery. But we said that there are a couple of other things that we need on there. One of the things that we need is we need the small holes for the screws. So we're going to go up to the pencil box, take my take my circle tool, and this time we're going to draw out some really small. 2.5 is all they need to be, so they're pretty tiny. And then we're going to move 2 of those into position. And when you're moving these screws, you do need to think a little bit about where you're placing them. It's probably not a good idea to put one of them here and one of them here, because then there's nothing really holding the back of things together. It's not really a good idea to put them right on the edge like this, because it's so close to the edge of the rest of the circle that it's highly likely to break or snap. So you do need to give a little bit of thought to where you want those to go. I think for mine, I could put one, say, up here and one down at the bottom. That would work quite well. Or you could go maybe side to side, something like that. So they're spread out and they're not too close to an edge. So they don't want to be too close together and they don't want to be too close to an edge. So I think I'm going to put one there and click that in place. And then I'm going to take my second one, press M, I'm going to move that across, and I'm going to go sort of diagonally opposite, if you like. Oh, that looks like the Wheel of Death. That doesn't look very good, does it? Okay, there's my second one. I think that's okay. Maybe just a little bit higher, something like that, and click OK. So now I've got my outside shape of my torch. I've got my LED, I've got my battery, and I've got the screws that are holding it together. But I still need a button to actually push down on the battery. So remember we said, excuse me, remember we said that the the button can be any size and shape you want, but it must fit inside the shape of the battery itself. So I am probably going to go with the circle shape, and I'm going to come and draw a circle. I know that I remember my battery was 20, so I'm going to make this 17, so it would give me a little bit of space. And then I'm going to do my move, create a copy, and I'm going to put that over there like so. Okay, now let's click that, and now we've got a button which fits inside the shape of the battery. That's really important. It has to fit inside the shape of the battery. Okay, so that is most of what I need to do, and I haven't saved for a while, so I'm just going to press Command and S on my keyboard and click OK. All right. And once we've gotten to that point, the next thing is to add any final detail that you want, and then we need to create the different layers. Okay, so For the final detail, what I am thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to trim away a little bit of what I've got here, these lines. So if you have a, if we have a look at my design, I think I'm going to trim away that piece and that piece and that piece, and I'm going to trim away that piece. So now what's going to happen is on my mini light, this portion here is going to be, if I just click something here, this portion here, oops, I didn't want to do that, sorry, just let me undo those things again. Why did all those jump back on? Let's just turn them all off and see if we can, there we go. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to have this side and this side be maybe a different colour to the main thing. Okay, so if I just trim those lines using my T for trim tool, then I can separate those colours out more easily. Let's just sort of put those back in a second. Where did my lines go? There you go. So I want to get rid of these like crossover lines here. So I press T for trim and I get rid of it like so. Okay. Now, at this point, I've got everything there. I've got my outline shape. I've got my button. I've got my battery, screw holes, and the LED. So I now need to duplicate this. Okay. To duplicate it, the first thing I need to do is to drag around like so, and then I'm going to come up to my pencil box and down towards the bottom you'll notice there's something called a rectangular pattern. I'm going to click on that rectangular pattern. I'm going to get the arrow that is pointing up, but I'm actually going to drag it downwards. Okay, and then over in this panel here I'm going to click on spacing here, and I'm going to type in that the quantity for my the number of repeats I want, okay, is going to be 6, and then I'm going to put in that the distance that I want is 60, okay, and that looks not quite right because it's going in the wrong direction. So let me just try that again. What have I done there? So we need to select it, click on rectangular pattern. Oh, it's because we're selecting this one here. So we're going to drag this down like so. And sorry, instead of entering them here, which is making them go to the side, we want to enter that here, which is making them go down. So we want 6 of those, and we want that, change the spacing, okay, and that needs to say -60. And when you do that, what you're then going to have, oh, that's not right either. Let me undo that. Let's try third time lucky. Let's select it. This is what we mean about sometimes things don't work first time, and you just need to stay calm and redo. So let's change that to spacing. Let's change that to 6, and let's change that to -60. There you are. I thought that's exactly what I did last time, but for some reason it didn't work. Now, if we zoom out, look at what we've got. We've got absolute copies of our master, okay? What we're going to do at this point is we're going to leave our master copy where it is, okay? And we're going to delete out the different pieces that we don't want from different layers. So if this is my top layer, for example, I don't want to have the little screw hole there, so I'm going to delete that. and I don't want that screw hole on the top layer, because if you remember, the top layer doesn't have the screw holes. I also don't want the cutout for the LED on the top layer, so I'm going to delete that. I can get rid of that little line as well. And I don't want to have the hole for the battery. I want the hole for the button instead. So I can delete the battery. Now, that's what my mini light is going to look like when I look just from the top. If I go on to the next one, this one is going to be a middle layer. So for this one here, I don't want to have the button. I do want to have the battery. So it's the opposite of this, isn't it? If we think about it, on the top layer we see the button, on the middle layer we see the battery. I need to have the LED, so I'm leaving that there. I need to have the screw holes, so I'm leaving that there. But what I don't want is I don't want this line running along here really, because otherwise my middle layer is going to get cut into different pieces. So I'm going to click my trim tool and I'm going to do that and also that. So that's what my middle layer would look like. The outline shape, the hole for the battery, the hole for the LED, and the holes for the screws. I need two middle layers, so I've got to do that twice. So I'm going to take that away and that away again, and I'm going to delete the push button. So I've only got, again, the outer shape, the screw holes, the LED, and the button cell. All right. Then I'm going to come on to the back, and on the back, if we think about what's going on there, what happened on our practice one, again, we need the outline shapes. I've got to keep that. We need the screw holes, but we don't need anything else. If you remember, the back was quite plain, wasn't it? It's quite flat and it doesn't really have the detail on it. Okay, so I'm going to click my trim tool and T for trim, and I'm going to get rid of those lines. And then I'm going to use my delete tool to delete the LED slot, because we don't need that. And I'm going to delete the push button hole, because I don't need that. And I'm going to delete the battery hole, because I don't need that either. Okay. And that now gives us, if we have a look at what we've now got the front of our LED, okay, the middle, and the back. But there's just one final thing that I need to do, and it relates to the front here, okay. If I send this to cut, it's going to cut these into 3 different pieces, okay. And that's okay because I want 3 different pieces, but the 3 different pieces are different colours. So on my final one, this one that we refer to as the spare, okay, on my final one, I'm going to draw that up. Sorry, I've just seen a little line that needs to go. On this final one here, I'm going to do this like the front one, except I'm going to separate out the colours. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to delete the battery hole. I'm going to delete the LED slot. So this one is looking the same as my front one basically, and I'm going to delete those 2 holes. Oops, if I can. There you go, I need to actually press my delete button. There you are. So if you look at that and what we've created there, these 2, this one here and this one here, look the same. Okay, so I've got a front, a middle, a back, and another front. Well, why have I got 2 fronts? We know why we've got 2 middles. We've only got 1 back, which is right, but we've got 2 fronts. And the reason for that is because I want to take away some of my piece here. So I'm going to delete that and that and that and that. Okay. And then I'm going to delete that and that, and that. This is with my trim tool, T for trim. Okay, so on my design, these three pieces are going to be cut out in green, okay, and on my main piece down the middle, this piece is going to be cut out in red. So on this one, I'm actually going to delete the two side pieces. So if you can imagine what's going to happen when those pieces are cut out, okay, this little rectangle with the hole in it is going to fit in the gap here between these two semicircles, and this button is going to sit in that hole. So that, together with that, will make my top layer. Those two will make my middle layer. That will make my bottom layer. Okay, so I'm going to just press Command and S and save that, and that is your mini light ready for cutting.